Good morning, everyone. It is 9 o'clock on a Friday morning. I'm Jane Monreal. You are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Three things we are tracking for you right now. We are tracking the rain chances. If you are in the Charlotte area right now, you notice it's cloudy. There's some drizzle on a lot of people's windshield, and that's affecting traffic locally. So kind of a gloomy start for your Friday morning heading into the weekend and the last weekend before CMS students go back to school on Monday. Also, right now, FBI conducting raids at former National Security Advisor John Bolton's home. This is a live picture right now. They are looking for classified documents and what they say is a probe to find classified records. So looking at that right now, FBI there as they are conducting this raid. Bolton, of course, serving two Republican administrations. Iran's first as ambassador to the United Nations during George W. Bush's administration, later as National Security Advisor to President Trump for about a year and a half during his first term. But we do know that Trump and Bolton did not part ways amicably. So this happening at his home in Maryland right now. And we are also waiting for federal Chair Jerome Powell's economic outlook. That is scheduled for 10 o'clock this morning. And so we will go to that live as it's happening here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. But right now we are also covering the aftermath of Aaron, and things were very tough, still dealing with some damage because of that around the Outer Banks and really along the East Coast for the Carolinas. Sam Walker, who is with OBX, had an interview yesterday with our Nick Sturdivant in the afternoon. If you missed any of that, really showing us some wild visuals and giving us an in-depth look into Aaron, and really a great conversation. So if you missed that, we're going to play that for you right now. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy, by the way, will be here in about half an hour to talk more about the chances for rain heading into your weekend. But let's go to this here on WCNC Plus. Thanks for watching.
All right, welcome to WCNC Plus. Here. It's a busy day. We get to our her. Okay, so that so the storm, hurricane, moving. You see is.
All right, so we are going to work out some of the rough edges around that recorded video, but if you know, the Outer Banks are really along the coast of the Carolinas. Things were churning up, things very calm, of course, before the storm, and rip currents also a threat to many swimmers and beach goers out there. But with Hurricane Aaron, although it did not make landfall, we know the damage the wind can do, storm surge can do, and affect the homes out there along the coast. Let's get you back to a smoothly running pre-recorded interview with our Nick Sturdivant and Sam Walker. Once again, fingers crossed, Carlene. Here we go on WCNC Plus.
I'm Nick Sturdivant. Carlene's here. Jeb's here. The gang is here. And it's a busy day. We have a lot to get to. Our top headline, Hurricane Aaron. I think we have a live shot for you right here.
This is Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey.
Okay, so so the storm, Hurricane Aaron, moving up the Atlantic. And you can see there that camera is doused in water.
It's soaked.
It is soaked.
You can see the double red flag there.
But you could it shows you just how strong the winds are, how wet it is out there in New Jersey, and we showed a shot earlier of Maryland, the coast there, Ocean City, Maryland. All right, so again, we've been keeping our eye on Hurricane Aaron, our weather impact team, but also another guy online who's been keeping his eye on Hurricane Aaron, all things Outer Banks. It's been tracking this, been following his videos on X. Sam Walker, OBX News. That's where you can find him. Sam Walker is here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Sam, how are you doing, man? Thank you for joining us.
We're getting a little tired, I think, but we're doing good.
You're doing a lot of work out there.
Yeah, man. You know, since Sunday, it feels like, since the evacuation order kicked in, that's when things go high gear for us out here, is whenever we start getting those types of things. So it's been a busy couple of days, and we're not done with this thing yet by any stretch today or the next couple of days, unfortunately.
All right, Sam, let's start with today. Like, what are you seeing today? Again, I've been scrolling on your X account. I saw the water spout. I saw the surge. What are you seeing out there, man?
Well, this morning, as expected, we had high tide around 7 o'clock this morning, and really the last couple of high tide cycles, we've seen the overwash start to build. The waves already were building since Tuesday, and really starting to see the highest of waves. And you couple that with the higher tide, which comes every 12 hours, and then you couple that with higher lunar tide. It's a mess, and it's been a mess for Ocracoke. It's been a mess for Hatteras Island. Not so much once you get across Oregon Inlet up into Nags Head, Killable Hills, Kitty Hawk, Duck, Southern Shores, and Corolla. And then you get up in the four-wheel drive area north of Corolla, the farthest, as far northeast as you can get in North Carolina without getting wet or being in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's a mess up there, too. All on the beachfront. I want to emphasize that. Other than some minor water level rises we've seen this morning with the Sound coming up a little bit in Hatteras and Ocracoke Village, this has really truly been right along the ocean front and just immediately behind the dunes, or in most cases where we talk about overwash, no dunes. It's been sand, it's been water. Highway 12 is closed in multiple spots. That's what led to the evacuation order being issued so early, is to get visitors out of here and then give residents a chance to get set. And if they want to leave, and the most part, they haven't left Hatteras and Ocracoke. So it's been a crazy couple of days out here. But like we usually say, we just call it Thursday on the Outer Banks.
I know that's right. Look, there was an evacuation order. Folks are told not to be on the beach, obviously not to be in the water. But we keep seeing folks in the water, on the beach. You've been doing this for 30 years now. Does that surprise you at all?
Not really. And I'll be honest, and when I say not really, let's start with the evacuation side of things. When you choose to live, or if you're 8th, 9th, 10th generation of living on Hatteras Island or in Ocracoke, you've chosen that life for a reason. And part of that is that living on an island has its challenges. You're going to have to drive off island to go get health care. You're going to have to drive off island to go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Target, those types of things. But you also become very self-sufficient. And the residents of Hatteras and Ocracoke, they don't leave. I mean, even we go back and look at Hurricane Irene, what happened in 2011 when you had 6 foot of storm surge on the Sound side and northern end of Hatteras Island, Rodanthe, Wave, Salvo, those areas. And you had an inlet cut. A lot of people had left because they felt like that, but when they left, they couldn't get back. And it took days, in some terms weeks, for people to be able to get back home to check on their houses. And many of them have chosen we're going to stay. We're not going anywhere. This storm isn't on that Irene, Dorian, Matthew level because it's an offshore storm, but they still know we're going to be cut off for a couple of days. They've prepared themselves. Now, when you see people in the water, I can tell you this. There really isn't many people, if at all, even braving them giving into the ocean today. Yesterday there were, and for the most part, people were heeding what the lifeguards are saying, and with the double red flags being up and things like that. People have been listening. We haven't had the number of rescue reports that we've heard about. Like Wrightsville Beach, 70 on Tuesday or Monday? And then at least over a dozen on Wednesday. We haven't had that problem up here. People have been pretty good about listening to our local emergency management in Dare County. They have an initiative called Love the Beach, RespectTheOcean.com, which puts out daily information about what the rip current risks are and how to be safe on the beach, whether it's not digging holes, whether it's not leaving your tents out on the beach at night because people aren't walking into them and sea turtles aren't getting damaged or messed up by them. People have been listening, and they've been staying out of the water for the most part. There's a few every now and then. And then when you talk about, the video that we've been sharing over the last 24 hours, most of that's been locals that kind of know, hey, I can go here and get this and not be in danger. And we don't encourage that behavior by all means, but for the most part, people haven't done anything really stupid yet, thankfully.
Yeah, I think folks here inland, like we were concerned because we don't know. Obviously, we're telling folks, hey, be safe, stay out the water, and we see that, and we're like, okay, we're just concerned here. So that's it's good to know, and great context. One thing that we've been talking about, those beachfront homes and the erosion piece and all of that. How do, and hopefully you could speak to this, what work is being done to preserve those homes? Because, I mean, year after year, not even just with Hurricane Aaron, but I remember last year and a year after that, and I guess I can keep going. Those homes keep getting washed away.
Yeah, and what you have there, it give you some context and some historical context. The oceanfront homes here on the Outer Banks were built over the last 50 years. You really didn't see people wanting to build houses on the oceanfront because barrier islands move. That's what they do. And when people started inhabiting this place in the over the last 100 years or so, they always built on the sound side way back because they knew the ocean was going to come and wash anything away that was out on the beach. Well, as development has happened, as we've built, houses out on these ocean fronts, we've built them with 300 yards of beach and an 8-foot tall, 12-foot tall dune in front of them. All that has been eroded away in these places that you're seeing where these houses have been collapsing. In Rodanthe, in Buxton, elsewhere on the Outer Banks. I can go back over the last 40 years and give instances in Kitty Hawk and Killable Hills and Nags Head where there used to be houses and you can go by and it's empty space. It's just dune grass because there were houses there that collapsed because of storms because we were not getting our beaches were eroding away. What's being done? One, beach nourishment in the northern beach towns, like we talked about Duck, Southern Shores, Kitty Hawk, Killable Hills, Nags Head. There's been some beach nourishment in Avon and Buxton since 2011. But there are some areas that can't be because of the cost, and that's one area is Rodanthe. There's not enough properties there to pay for it because you got to use taxes. You got to use property taxes. You got to use occupancy tax, your hotel, motel, and meals taxes to help pay for these projects. Federal government's not going to pay for them. They were reimbursing once you did one, they'll reimburse you when a storm comes and washes things out. But the cost has not made it. It's cost prohibitive to do beach nourishment in a place like Rodanthe. So what's happened now is you've had these homes that have collapsed. There's about 17, 18 now in Rodanthe, which is the farthest eastern point in North Carolina, that are still threatened. Some of those property owners have been fortunate enough to find properties they could move those houses to, but some haven't. Some are just going to let them go. Buxton's a little different situation because there's really nowhere else to move these houses. And you're right at where Diamond Shoals is and Cape Point, Cape Hatteras. It's one of the most dynamic ocean fronts in the world. So every time you put sand on it, it goes away. So there are things being done. And this is a situation somebody just decided to build a house right in the middle of the surf zone. These houses, again, were 300 yards away. But over time, they've been eroded away. And I'll throw in this last little point. We're not New Jersey. We're not South Carolina. And we're not building boardwalks and we're not building jetties on the beach. North Carolina has a very specific set of laws that prevents hardened structures along our beaches because we like our natural beaches here in North Carolina. So you're never going to see something like that in this state, and especially out on the Outer Banks, because that's not something we do. That's the reason why so many people come to us is because we are different from those other beach fronts.
That makes a lot of sense, Sam. Sam, I got to ask, what does the next couple of days look like for you and for the folks there? I'm pretty sure for you, sleep is not included in those plans.
Well, I will say, thankfully, where high tide is falling, it does kind of fit in the circadian rhythm right now. So tonight, 7:30 is high tide this evening. That will start seeing that overwash situation. Those dunes or the dune run up, the waves washing up on the dunes as early as 4:30 this afternoon, about 3 hours, just because of the sheer power. This is when we're expecting the highest wave action to show up. So it's this evening. Tomorrow morning around 6:30 is high tide again. So we'll see another period that'll probably going to be very similar to what we saw this morning. Then things start to ramp down a little bit. Friday evening's high tide won't be as bad. Saturday, the overwash situation should really subside by Saturday. we're not going to be done with the rip currents. We're not going to be done with the rough surf. It's going to take a long time for the entire Western Atlantic to calm down. So not just here on the Outer Banks are we going to be dealing with the high risk of rip currents for into the weekend. It's going to be all of the North Carolina coast. It's going to be all of the Mid-Atlantic. It's going to be the Southeast. It's going to be the Northeast, all the way up to Cape Cod. It's going to be rough surf. So this is not going to be a very good beach weekend at all, at least as far as if you're wanting to get in the ocean. Go to the ocean and watch it. Yeah, it'll be fine. But do not even think about getting in it, no matter if you are the strongest swimmer. We can't emphasize enough. Rip currents, they will kill you. More rip deaths happen related to hurricanes from rip currents in North Carolina and South Carolina than any other threat. The next, of course, is freshwater flooding, inland flooding, of course, like we saw with Helene a year ago, like we just saw with Chantal when you go up into the Triangle. And what you guys have been dealing with so many times in the Charlotte area with tropical systems that have come on shore and caused flooding. That's the second biggest threat, or the second biggest killer from tropical systems. The number one killer is rip currents. So, folks, just go ahead and figure it out. I know school's supposed to start this next week in North Carolina. Some folks like to start it a little bit earlier than they're supposed to. But that's a whole other topic for somebody who lives in the coastal economy. But, yeah, it's not going to be a great final weekend of summer in North Carolina, unfortunately, as far as going to the beach.
Yeah, CMS goes back to school Monday, so if you made those beach plans, just stay at home. Stay here in Charlotte.
I got a cousin who teaches over at Union Academy. They've been in since the first week of August. It's like, good gosh, come on, y'all. Have some summer for a change.
Sam Walker, you can catch up Sam Walker, obxnews.com, or you could be like myself, not only catch him online, but on X, Sam Walker, OBX. Sam, you're going to be busy. Stay safe out there. Thank you for your time. We'll continue to check in with you, man.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Man, some really great context there.
Yes, I will finish his sentence. Some really good conversation and information from Sam Walker there covering the Outer Banks. We're going to take a 2-minute break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Stay with us because we are covering breaking news with the raid at John Bolton's home, former security advisor to President Trump. In the meantime, back into All right, thanks for sticking with us here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. Time right now is 9:20. We are continuing to monitor breaking news out of Bethesda, Maryland. This is a live picture right now where FBI agents are raiding former National Security Advisor John Bolton's home. This in a probe to find classified records. And in a post early this morning, FBI Director Kash Patel writing, quote, "No one is above the law." We do know, of course, Bolton and Trump ended up not having a good relationship after the first term. Bolton releasing a memoir of sorts on his experience and his alleged relationship and treatment from the Trump administration during that first term. But this is what's happening right now at, again, Bolton's home in Maryland. We will continue to follow this story throughout the day. In the meantime, we are also following what else is happening with the Trump administration. And of course, the talks between President Trump with President Zelensky and President Putin between Ukraine and Russia. It seems that that summit that he said he was pushing for is not going to happen. Also, National Guard out there in D.C. Alice Barr with the latest from Washington.
This morning, as Trump celebrates a legal for this immigration down is taking a hit with a federal ruling that will the end controversial migrant center known as Alligator Alcatraz. A judge center can for now, but cannot accept new detainees or do any construction to remove all day and how it's mental groups that sued, calling it a victim of the Florida Everglades ecosystem. State of Florida on the is appealing. Incredible. That as President Trump thanked the law and D.C. to crack down on crime, celebrating a win. Case appeals court threw out the $1 billion judgment he faced, liable for civil fraud. $550 million. Was finding President Trump was likely found guilty to.
All right, apparently it looks like that feed is chugging along. So bottom line, though, President Trump thanking officers, promising to make the Capitol beautiful again. Right now, we are going to switch back to local news and really a great event that's happening this weekend. It's Clear the Shelters. That is happening tomorrow at the Animal Care and Control Center on Byram Drive. I will be there tomorrow morning along with Larry Sprinkle. We'll bring you live feeds, try to get these animals adopted. It is a national campaign to clear the shelters across the country. They do get overcrowded at times, and these animals deserve a loving home. Our Vanessa Rufus, of course, you might know that she is an animal lover, dogs in particular. There's no dog that she doesn't love. And she also spoke to Charmec's Melissa Nicely about the event that is coming up. We're going to play this pre-recorded interview. If you missed any of it, here it is on WCNC Plus.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus. Just right off the bat, we want to talk about Clear the Shelters, just because this is a big initiative for us here at WCNC Charlotte, and it's been underway all month long. And y'all who've been watching us throughout the month know that through the afternoon, morning, evenings, we've been bringing you coverage of our local rescues and shelters, the need out there, how you can help, adopt, foster, volunteer, donate, advocate. We'll just remind you our weekend here all mapped out, because we got Clear the Shelters adoption event that's happening at Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control on Byram Drive, the Byram Drive location, from 9 to 5. But let's talk more about what folks can expect and also just the general need out there. We've got Melissa Nicely joining us from the animal shelter. So fabulous timing, because we've got just a couple more days until this big event, and y'all pull out all the stops for this.
So first of all, thank you.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Thanks to all of the amazing people at WCNC for supporting us. And not just Animal Care and Control, but all of the local shelters and the shelters around the country. It could not be, I'm going to speak for everyone, it could not be better timing for shelters across the country.
Yeah.
As you know, one of the words that comes out of our mouth all the time is talking about full.
Yeah.
And how full we are and how full shelters get in the summer months especially. And that is no different at Animal Care and Control or the shelters around this area. So perfect time to go out and support by adopting a shelter pet for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great event as well in that not only do you usually see a lot of pets get adopted, but also it's just kind of a fun, day out with the family, perhaps maybe come visit and see what y'all do at the shelter, take a look at the pets. We know a lot of area shelters, they have vendors that are going to be coming and activities, so just something that will make up for a good day, I think, in general for
Absolutely,
folks.
Absolutely. And remember too that we have more than just dogs and cats available for adoption. We're also going to have pocket pets available.
Yeah.
So if your child's been wanting a rabbit or something that's not a cat or a dog, make sure that you check with us as well, because we do often have all kinds of things in our room that is for our pocket pets.
Yeah. I mean, and I see from time to time y'all have like pigs and goats, and I know I think you have to have special permitting maybe for some of those barnyard animals, but occasionally, yeah, you'll see like chickens in the barn over there at the shelter.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago we had 2 small pigs named Bambi and Flower, and they were adorable, and I'm happy to announce that they went to rescue or they went to a home. I don't know for sure, but I have been actually on vacation all of last week, so I truly don't know. I just got back in the office today. I don't know what we have in the barn.
Yeah.
I'll have to check and see, because we may have some barn animals that have crept in.
It's always a possibility, always a possibility. So, I mean, we talk about the need, and throughout the last few weeks, we've been profiling, different shelter pets around our area, and we've been talking about their bios and that sort of thing. In fact, yesterday we did have some volunteers from Zoomy Toomey come.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they talked about some of the Toomey dogs. That's your satellite location. We'll remind everyone once again, Saturday's event primarily at Byram Drive, but I mean, y'all have some great animals, and y'all are super full right now.
We are both full with the dog in the dog kennels, and we're full in the cat kennels. And this time of the year, if you're specifically wanting to have the lowdown on the kittens, it is no better time to adopt a kitten or 2 this time of the year, because we've got lots of kittens, and they're really adorable. They're at those ages where they're around 8 months of age all the way up to a few months old, and they're playing and they're fun, and if you get to, they play together and they grow up together. So we've got lots and lots of kittens, all shapes, sizes, colors, personalities available. So it's a great time to come if you're looking for a kitten. And then of course, as you know, Vanessa, you spend a lot of time there walking dogs and different things that we always need adopters for our amazing dogs as well.
Yeah. Now, I did see, because of all of the staff concentration, if you will, and volunteer concentration on this weekend's event, that it looks like maybe daycations are going to be paused for a little bit.
Right.
Probably just good to remind folks that, but maybe even just talk about the daycation program, because when it returns, that's really a great option too.
Yeah, the daycation, we've got some great adoption programs, and we'll start with talking about the daycation program. So the daycation program is exactly what it is. It's day. So if you are free and you have a day off and you're like, I'd really like to get to know a shelter dog, get some exercise a shelter dog, get them out of the shelter, go get them a pup cup at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or wherever you fancy, then it's a great program. You can come, pick out a dog, take them out for the day. When you come back, you can give us all kinds of details about what you've learned about the dog, and we'll put that on the profile, so it gives adopters more information that we may, not have yet. about the dog. So that is an amazing program and usually is offered like 7 days a week, but we are not doing it this Saturday. And the reason that we're not doing it this Saturday is because we don't want them to be out on a vacation and lose their opportunity to find their forever home with people who are coming to the shelter hoping to adopt and looking to adopt. So that, and also we're hopefully going to be really, really busy, and the processing of putting a daycation dog out to, a person and that sort of thing would then slow down the lines. So those are the two reasons, but mainly because we just really want them to be available and be there for people who are looking to adopt.
Yeah, and I mean, thinking back over the years, because I've been there for, I guess now at this point, maybe 4 or 5 years of, well, just because, our station has been doing this with y'all for years and years and years. I think, because I came in 2020, this would be like the 5th year of us talking about Clear the Shelters together. I feel like we always report on, at the very least, dozens of animals getting adopted. I know it kind of varies from year to year, but I mean, can you give us an idea of, I don't want to say expectations, because that's hard to set, but what is a ballpark of a usual successful adoption day for y'all?
Well, I think that the great thing is that you guys have done an amazing job pushing it out to the community and letting the community know to go to their local shelters, and not just animal care and control, like to anyone watching within your region, to go to and support their local shelters. So again, kudos to you guys, because getting the information out and knowing about this day is the piece that it wouldn't work if we didn't have that. But I'm just going to compare it to like a few, I guess it was back in June, July, we did sort of an SOS adoption because we were extremely full with dogs and really needed to get some moved out very quickly. And so we planned, within 2 weeks' time, we decided that we were going to do a fee-waived adoption, and we were going to be doing it on a certain day. And we set a pretty high, lofty goal of, I think, 250 animals, I think. I can't even remember what the goal was, but we surpassed that goal. So if we could, within a week's time, like say between now and the end of Saturday, we would love to see at least 150 animals leave between now and the end of Saturday.
Well, I'd love to see that too.
Yeah.
I know how much that would make a difference for not only the kennel capacity over at the shelter, but also, with the resources and staff as well. I mean, it does take a whole village to care for those animals. So speaking of, the big push, and we know that a lot of shelters will try to do waived fees or special sponsorships of adoptions. How are y'all handling it this year?
So great news. We actually started a special this week. So we are waiving adoptions from I think they started it on Monday. I wasn't here, so I think it started on Monday, all the way up until the 24th, I think, through the 24th. So through Saturday, through the end of Saturday, all adoption fees are waived. Let me just say it one more time.
Yeah.
All adoption fees are waived. That's huge. So it's a perfect opportunity that you can save a few bucks on the adoption fee and take that money and go to your pet supermarket and get all the things that you need to start up having a new pet in your home.
Yeah, I mean, and because we have adopted a dog from Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control. His name is Rocky River. If you've been watching on TV, there's some commercials that have been running for Clear the Shelters this month. That is Rocky River. We have another dog too, but he was rescued from a different state. Anyways, when we got Rocky, he came microchipped. He came with all of his basic vaccinations, and he was also heartworm positive. We did have the option of doing the slow kill heartworm treatment through y'all. So y'all provide a lot of medical services for these animals, and so to waive those adoption fees, that's pretty huge.
It is. Like, one of the things that I really like to tell people, especially who are looking to adopt, and obviously you want to make sure that you have the finances in place, for the unexpected, but even just the routine things that you're going to have. But the nice thing is, when we fee waive, you do get a lot for free. So all of them, like you said, all of the animals are going to come. They're going to be microchipped. They're going to have all the vaccines that they need to this point in time. And when you get the adult animals, that's great because you're looking at like you won't need any of their core vaccines until a year from now. So then also they're dewormed. The dogs are heartworm tested, and if they're heartworm negative, then that's great. If they're heartworm positive, then we can work with you on like sending them home with the slow kill method medication, basically, which is very easy to do. And what am I missing? I think that's pretty much everything. And of course, the spay or neuter.
Yeah.
So that's the most important, and I almost missed that. But they will be sterilized. And usually on these days, most of the ones that will be up for adoption will have hopefully already had that spay neuter, so they can leave that day. That's what our goal is.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about, past Clear the Shelters and seeing, I mean, it's just fun to see, who gets adopted. I remember even, one of our team members adopted a cat that very day too. So I'm really
that last year? I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it goes by fast. It is hard to keep track, right? Like, because we've been doing this so many years. But talk about, I guess, some of the vibe of the day and just what it feels like to see so many animals go out the door in a positive outcome.
It's like one of the best days. There's several best days that you get, as someone who's a staff or a volunteer there, and certainly seeing so many people in our community coming because they want to adopt, it's just the best feeling. And especially if it's an animal that's been there for a long time and we get to, say goodbye to it, which is sad, but at the same time, it's what we are in this for, right? Is to see them go home. So I'm kind of getting chills a little bit because it's just the most amazing time. And I think what the cherry on top is, especially if it's a family and their children, and they are so excited to take their new pet home that they're just almost dancing around. They're so excited, and I love that. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
And then another thing that I love seeing, and it's not related to Clear the Shelters, but it's certainly important, is I'll mention it. One of my best days of the month is our outreach rabies clinic that we do, where we provide free rabies shots. Just a little plug. Second Saturday of every month. Look at our website for details. Is to see how many people are willing to line up in their car and wait for an hour plus to get a rabies vaccine. It just shows me how many people really care so much about their pet that they're willing to take all the time and wait in the line and do all that. And so those are the glimpses you get of like how many amazing pet owners there are in our community who really care about their pets, because I know a lot of people are like, how can you do the job? It's so sad. You see all the animals coming in that nobody wanted, or they were lost and they didn't come look for. But truly, we get to see the flip side of it too. We get to see how many amazing people are adopting, how many people are coming to get their pets vaccinated because they care, and how many people are fostering, and how many people are volunteering. So it's lots of love, and these days really spread a lot of the love when we're doing the Clear the Shelter event. And we're supported by the community, and we're supported by folks like you guys. So it's a wonderful day.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait. I hope that it's very successful. And we'll just remind people too, we've got a lot of coverage on our website. We've got an article up about how you can learn about Clear the Shelters, the when, where, how, the time, all of it. If you can't by chance make it, donations are great. Learn about volunteering, fostering, all of it. It makes a difference. Melissa, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Once again, it's this Saturday, Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control, Byram Drive.
And we will go and plug the Clear the Shelters adoption event happening again tomorrow, starting at 9 o'clock. Larry Sprinkle's going to be there. I'm going to be there starting at 10 to help things out on the plus side of it, WCNC Plus. And there's a Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control again on Byram Drive in West Charlotte. That QR code is for those of you who cannot go but want to still help. And you can donate money. That money goes a long way to help feed and make these animals and pets comfortable during their time at the animal shelter before they do get adopted. Okay, so we will hope to see you tomorrow. Right now, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and after the break, Chris Mulcahy will be coming up with your weekend weather. So stay with us. This 2 minutes is going to go by really quick. All right, so here we are back at 9:42. Chris Mulcahy is in the Live Impact studio. Yes, where are the weekend horns?
Let's do it.
That's what I was talking about.
I didn't have my horn app ready, which, by the way, I was investigating a little bit more. It has old car sounds, alarm sounds. So I asked my manager if I could get a soundboard here. It was a no.
Okay,
but,
hard no.
But I'll start bringing more.
You're a soundboard.
Yeah, and I actually said this because we were talking about lottery. If I won the lottery and had an excessive amount of money, I would pay somebody for a day for sound effects and theme music.
Oh my.
How fun would that be?
That'd be fun.
That'd
be fun.
That's when you know you have money.
Yeah, I will never be at that point, but if I won $300 million, I think that I could throw a slice in there. I'm just letting you know it is not $1 million forecast today. Who enjoyed their morning commute?
Not me. No, gloomy.
So I actually want to show you an example of what it was like earlier this morning. So hold on one sec. I made this graphic earlier.
It doesn't look too bad. Oh, okay. That looks bad.
This was my drive to work.
No.
So the crazy thing here is it looks like I'm on the side of the road. That's actually.
I can't see where you are.
No,
you
you
could
can't.
Be anywhere.
Wow.
You could be in the middle of a swamp for all you know.
That was actually, so this is a 2-lane road here. This is actually off of Beatty's Ford Road. But the funny thing is that ponding you're seeing is the middle of the road. Typically, that's usually the shoulder.
Side, yeah.
So this is an example of driving in the red on the radar. So whenever you have red on the radar, you're just going to have such excessive rainfall that you can barely see in front of you. And luckily for us, I think most of that heavier rain is behind us. But here's another example. You could barely see in front of you. So that's why I always want to say is like whenever there's a chance for thunderstorms, this is what you potentially are driving into. And then a significant hydroplaning and other stuff like that, where actually multiple spots across North Charlotte received over 2 inches of rain this morning. So it really depends where you live.
What?
That specifically where around where I live, one nearby site is Coolwood Middle School. They measured over 3 inches of rain for the morning, and that is growing as we have some more showers. So I just want to kind of let everyone know that if you have still a lot of big ponds left over, it's for that rain that rolled through. As for right now, we are starting to improve things slightly. So I want to show you 4 different examples of what our beautiful area, well, most of the time it's beautiful, looks like today. First off, Dallas is a really good tool of ours because our Dallas camera is 1,450 feet up exactly up in the air. And the reason why that's significant is because it shows how low the cloud cover is. That clouds, like those upper level wispy cirrus clouds, can go up anywhere from 20 to 50,000 feet. When you're talking about less than a quarter of a mile, do you have those thick clouds? That really shows that the lower cloud cover is there. That oftentimes is what happens after a foggy event. Sometimes it can burn off, but it's also multiple layers above our heads that we have thick clouds. Through the low, mid, and upper levels, we have cloud cover here in the atmosphere. The reason why I'm spouting this for you is that it's not going to be very easy for us to get sunshine in a scenario like this. When you have just low level clouds, yeah, you're going to see the sunshine up above, and oftentimes our Dallas camera will point to that. But if I were to swing this camera, I don't have the controls here, directly up, all you're going to see is cloud cover. So it's that thick of clouds that is going to lead to not really the prettiest day. Now, the best example of what it will look like when it's not raining is over in Lake Norman. And I think that there is some hope that oftentimes when you have a cloudy day like this, it'll get brighter. So yeah, you could have a brighter sky from time to time, but it's still not really lovely overall. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to show you my morning commute again.
I hope you weren't operating the phone while you were doing
No.
it.
So
you
what
just stick it onto the
No, what I do, so what I do is I wedge it up in the dashboard.
Okay.
So and that's why
For safe driving.
I let everyone
that's
know. Yeah, I
Practice
wedge
what we
it up
preach.
on the dashboard. I removed it from the ant traps that I have in my car to not let people know about those. But yeah, this one was in the corner, and then the other one I put directly. So each stoplight I gave two different advantages.
This is a good reminder, though. People need to change your wipers more often than you think they do.
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
like Brad says, what is it? Every 6 months?
Every 6 months. I change mine before the summer because it always rains so much.
Yeah, you're supposed to do every 6 months. I don't.
That's the thing.
I do it when it
slack
starts
too.
sticking. You know, and it's like
I need to be better about it myself.
I think the best, well, of course, if you see pieces of it going a different direction,
for sure,
might be
change
time
it
to
then.
change it.
do it. But what I like to do is I think when it's a very light rain, that's your best judgment.
Yeah.
Because if you're starting to get to the point that you see them starting to skip or almost squeak,
Exactly.
that's where you need something new.
Right.
And I highly recommend it if you haven't done it. Rain-X does work. Sometimes you can apply some of the Rain-X. There's TikTok that say you can put potatoes on your car, but I don't know if that works. So and
I mean, it looks like your windshield wipers are working.
these are
very
new this
well,
year.
actually. Very
But also,
efficient.
when it's raining this heavy, it can only do so much, right?
Yeah, right.
No, but no, thank you for letting me show you that perspective. Yeah, just because it was too good of a moment not to share. And we were as close as you could potentially come at that point to a flash flood warning, just because of how much rain had actively came. And here, let me actually show you a better example of what that rain looked like since we're just kind of divesting. Here's actually kind of a good example of what can happen. So around midnight, you weren't really seeing anything, and all of a sudden you started to see these showers slowly start to build. Because at this point, it was just sitting in one place. So that's when I'm driving to work. And then when you have that orange to that red, it's just torrential downpours. And then eventually, it started to exhaust itself. So what we're now actively seeing here for the radar is a far less wet environment than what we saw earlier. So now we're actually going to be trending in a good direction overall. The heaviest rain that I'm right now seeing is off towards the north, right here around Burke County, sorry about that. Burke County and around Morganton, and then down to the south, we're seeing a little bit of rain as well. But hey, it could be a whole lot worse. Over the next 36 hours, we're also going to see a front start to drop down. That's also why we saw a lot more rain earlier this morning. So I'm not saying it's not going to rain again today. We just have a lot less rain compared to what we had earlier. And that front will eventually drift down towards the south. And it's not until we have another front in the northwest roll in on later Sunday that we're going to see some changes and a better chance for rain. But as long as you have this environment here with a nearby low and fronts approaching, you're going to have a lot more cloud cover than actual sunshine. So I'm not saying that your weekend is complete gloom and doom. I'm just letting you know that it's not going to be wall-to-wall sunshine. You will have that scenario because we have dry days for most of next week. Rain chances start to pick back up for the last days of August, but I think think solidly from Monday to Thursday, there's not really much to worry about. So getting to our futurecast, most any rain, if we do see, is going to be either west of Charlotte or south of Charlotte. You'll still have a chance for a spotty shower at any point for the given day. There will be, I think, a better chance for a few sprinkles, but you can see by about 6 o'clock, there's not too much going on. Typically for our map, whenever it's a darker gray, you're just like, okay, the clouds are breaking and we're going to see a lot of blue sky. This case, as I already told you, with the thick clouds at different levels, isn't necessarily going to mean that. I think the best case that we have is it's a dry end of the day, mostly cloudy where you see some spots of blue, but I think it should get a little bit brighter as we're already seeing for a few spots right now. By tomorrow morning, I think you see a little bit of rain. Now, this is primarily, I think, for the mountains and the foothills, and that's where we see most of the activity tomorrow. But then once you get to about the after 1 o'clock hour, you're going to have a chance for an isolated pop-up shower or thunderstorm, and the same thing goes for your Sunday. But Sunday, we see rain starting to branch out for the mountains and foothills again for the morning heading into the afternoon. This is that front that's arriving, so if you have any plans for the mountains and foothills, say if you're going to head up there for any reason or you're watching from there, thank you so much, that's where you're going to see that front bring the best chance for rain, and then it's just isolated storm chances thereafter. But because of that front, we are eventually going to cool down. I'm going to take a side break here. Has anyone ever heard of a black moon?
Not me.
I've heard of blue moon.
Okay, that's a great point. Because I will be honest, I just learned about this as well. That a black moon is literally the opposite of a blue moon. So there are two definitions for a blue moon. A blue moon is either where 2 full moons happen in a given month, or you have 4 full moons in a astronomical season. So that would be, you have 4 full moons in the start of summer to when they're officially calling it fall. So in this case and scenario, it's a seasonal black moon. So the opposite of full moon is the new moon, where you physically can't see it. That means the moon is at 0 illumination, completely blocked by the Earth's shadow. And the reason why we even see a moon glint or full moon is because either some or none or all of the sunlight from the sun gets around the Earth to illuminate the moon. So it just really depends on its position. So in this case and scenario, this would be our 3rd of 4 new moons. So that's why this third one officially is called a black moon. It's nothing you will see. It's just something that's trending on the internet. So this is the most, I would say, clickbait type thing that you're going to see on the internet. Oh, the black moon, what is that? No. It just means you're not seeing anything. And this is actually great for stargazers if you don't have that cloud cover. So its rarity actually happens every 33 months. But by the way, a seasonal blue moon also happens every 33 months. And a blue moon is never blue. It just is kind of a rarity thing. So that's why they say once in a blue moon. So I guess when people say once in a blue moon, it means every 33 months. Okay, now we move on. We're now a little bit smarter, or I just confused the blank out of you. And if that's the case, I totally understand. It's not really simplistic. Our dew point trends, boo! Cue the slide whistle. Thank you. See, yeah. I don't have a soundboard. I'll do what I can. We've been either humid or very humid, and now we're going to be fluctuating through the weekend to just sticky to humid weather. Ooh. Oh, just sticky. Now, normally, who wants to be sticky? But in this case and scenario, it's much better than where we were. But you see the bottom drop out, that we're around that dry to even comfortable range, so it's going to feel much better for the back run. So that's why I was showing you this yesterday. You have the Carolina Fall Alert, 82 to 81 for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I dropped off one of these days because I think it starts to feel a little bit more humid next Friday, and you have a better chance for rain. But this is typical fall, y'all. By the end of September, we're averaging the lower 80s, and it usually feels a little less humid. So literally, this is about a month ahead of schedule. Now, oftentimes, this is 2 ahead of schedule, but all in all, I think that we are going to be trending below normal, because we also have tools by the Climate Prediction Center about, are we going to be above or below normal, say 6 to 10 days or week 2 of the forecast? And over the 6 to 10 day forecast, which would include some of those fall-like days, absolutely, we have a very high chance. And then we're kind of on the cusp of slightly below normal for the end of August, heading in the first days of September. After that, I think we're going to start to return to where we should be, at least for that part of the month, which, by the way, September 4th, magical date, officially the start of the NFL season if you're an NFL fan.
right.
Thursday Night Football. Okay, so the last bit, let's wrap this up with a bow. Our 7-day forecast, we have the mid to the upper 80s on Sunday and Monday, and then the lower 80s as I just showed you. But what's interesting is I want you to look at the low on Thursday. 60 degrees.
Wow.
So that means there's a chance that some of us in the greater Charlotte area are going to wake up in the upper 50s. Talk about cool, crisp air for what date would that be? August 28th. So, yeah, this is a rarity, actually, to feel this dry. Temperature-wise, it's actually matching, or if not, a little bit warmer than today. Today's actually the coolest, but today's humid, wet, and damp. You're talking about the lower 80s feeling comfortable with sunshine. So I still haven't decided what my pick of the week is, but at this point, all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, I'll have to choose one, but that verdict is out on Monday.
favorite.
Right now, I would say Wednesday.
Okay.
Wednesday looks to be lighter winds. Things settle out a little bit more, but I think you see a little bit more sunshine.
Very good.
Okay.
Not bad for your first week back to school, CMS.
I know, right?
Nice way to
Much
welcome
better
the
than
kiddies.
York counties.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? It
Rough
just
start.
rained every single morning.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
kids.
And then FC is going to be okay, even with the Thunderbolt there?
Yeah, I think that because I think that game's at 7, right?
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, is that 7 or is it an earlier
Take a look
game?
right quick.
Yeah, let's look. Let's look it up. I wrote it down, but I
7 o'clock.
yeah, that's okay.
All right, so-
so yeah, at 7 o'clock, I think you might. At the worst case scenarios of a storm in the area, you hear thunder and it's delayed. But I think that there's nothing widespread that is going to ruin this game getting in. So yeah, I'm not really concerned.
All right. If you're not concerned, we're not concerned.
No, we're good.
We're okay.
We cool.
We're cool. Happy Friday, Chris.
Happy Friday to you all.
Thank you for coming into the Live Impact Studio as we are coming up on 10 o'clock right now. Want to just get you caught up with a live picture of John Bolton's home. This is the former National Security Advisor to President Trump. This is an FBI raid happening right now. Live pictures in a probe to find what they're calling classified records. FBI Director Kash Patel saying no one is above the law. So quiet picture there, but that is happening. We did see FBI agents walk up to the front door. Someone answered the door. It did not look like Mr. Bolton. And we do understand that Bolton's business is also being raided as well. Also, breaking live update here. This is a live picture right now out of New York City where we're hearing NYPD narcotics detective was shot around 9 o'clock this morning in the Queens area. And so you can see that heavy police presence happening right now. The officer responding to a robbery and carjacking, and it appears that he was, they say, may have been shot in the leg, possibly the hand. A live picture there out of New York City, the Queens area for you. All right, as we are coming up on 10 o'clock right now, we need to take a quick 2-minute break. These breaks are very short, so stay with us because we are awaiting Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech from Jackson Hole, his economic outlook. More on that coming up as we are here on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Stay with us. All right, welcome back here at 10 o'clock. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. We appreciate you downloading the WCNC app to your Roku, Fire, and or Apple TV so you can have us on at your home, doctor's office, lawyer's office, and monitor things live as they happen. Speaking of which, we are monitoring live images right now out of Bethesda, Maryland. This is the home of former National Security Advisor John Bolton in an FBI raid. What they are saying is a probe to find classified records. Bolton served for 2 administrations, George W. Bush, as well as a year and a half for the first term for the Trump administration. They did not end on a good note. And they are also looking at Bolton's business as well. So FBI raid taking place live right now. We're also following a breaking situation out of New York City. This is the Queens area. Live pictures there from the NBC crew that is looking at a police officer involved shooting. An officer shot near 22nd Road and the White House Expressway, if you're familiar with the area. This happened around 9 o'clock this morning, so about an hour ago. That detective said to have been shot in the leg and possibly the hand, according to NBC New York. And they were responding, narcotics detective responding to a robbery and carjacking about an hour ago. So 2 live breaking news stories that we are monitoring right now here on Live Impact News. And that's what we do here at 10 o'clock on WCNC Plus. As those pictures come in live to the newsroom, we bring them right back out to you. By the way, we are awaiting Fed Chair Jerome Powell's economic outlook. It is scheduled for 10 o'clock. That is not yet up on our feeds. So as soon as it is, we will bring that to you here live. In the meantime, locally, of course, you might have heard local legend H.A. Humpy Wheeler passed away. And Larry Sprinkle, also a local legend, spoke to Lisa Washington and Megan Bragg about really giving us another outlook on who this legend was for the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's listen in here. This is pre-recorded from earlier this morning on WCNC Plus.
This morning, world bring motor at the age of 6 was favoring us for more than 30 years. He transformed Charlotte Speedway.
Carlene is working on fixing the little stutter. It is a finicky one today, the pre-recorded interview. But there were some really good images of Humpy Wheeler. Of course, he made an impact on the Charlotte area, including local Belmont Abbey College. He was from Belmont, an Abbey alum, and we will be talking to a student as well as a faculty member. That's coming up at 10:30. So let's get you back to the Lisa Washington, Megan Bragg bit that was pre-recorded, I should say, from earlier this morning.
Motorsports, remembering legendary promoter Humpy Wheeler. The Belmont native died yesterday at the age of 86. Wheeler was widely known as the face of the Charlotte Motor Speedway after serving as president for more than 30 years. He transformed Charlotte Motor Speedway into one of NASCAR's premier venues and a significant economic driver for the sport and the area. His leadership created memories for families to never forget.
The best way to describe Humpy, you know, when you hear people talk about one of a kind or they broke the mold, that would be Humpy Wheeler, which is ironic because Humpy hated cliches. Having worked with him for several years, it was one of those things where whenever he did an interview or ever he was looking at something that you'd written, if it had a cliche in it, he didn't like it. He always wanted to be original, and he was certainly that. I think his legacy here for Charlotte Motor Speedway is going to be one where he did so much to not only inspire the staff but inspired fans. He got so many people excited about NASCAR. He was very proud of the role that he had for really not just the 3 decades here, but even preceding that, of doing things to get people passionate about racing and passionate about NASCAR. He was one of those people, one of those rare people that was as comfortable talking to the old men at the country store as he was talking to the CEOs in the boardroom in downtown Charlotte. He could identify with anybody, and anybody felt like they could identify with him, and I think that's one of the things that was really part of his appeal. He was always creative and always pushing the staff here at the track alongside Bruton Smith to do more.
All right, it does appear that we are seeing Fed Chair Jerome Powell now step up to the podium as we are taking a look at his economic outlook. His speech happening right now out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Let's listen in here live on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
Conditions are also little changed or have softened only modestly, including quits, layoffs, the ratio of vacancies to unemployment, and nominal wage growth. Labor supply has softened in line with demand, sharply lowering the break-even rate of job creation needed to hold the unemployment rate constant. Indeed, labor force growth has slowed considerably this year with the sharp fall-off in immigration, and the labor force participation rate has edged down in recent months. Overall, while the labor market appears to be in balance, it is a curious kind of balance that results from a marked slowing in both the supply of and demand for workers. This unusual situation suggests that downside risks to employment are rising. And if those risks materialize, they can do so quickly in the form of sharply higher layoffs and rising unemployment. At the same time, GDP growth has slowed notably in the first half of this year to a pace of 1.2%, roughly half the 2.5% pace in 2024. The decline in growth has largely reflected a slowdown in consumer spending. As with the labor market, some of the slowing in GDP likely reflects slower growth of supply or potential output. Turning to inflation, higher tariffs have begun to push up prices in some categories of goods. Estimates based on the latest available data indicate that total PCE prices rose 2.6% over the 12 months ending in July. Excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.9%, above their level of a year ago. Within core, prices of goods increased 1.1% over the past 12 months, a notable shift from the modest decline seen over the course of 2024. In contrast, housing services inflation remains on a downward trend, and non-housing services inflation is still running at a level a bit above what has been historically consistent with a 2% inflation. The effects of tariffs on consumer prices are now clearly visible. We expect those effects to accumulate over coming months with high uncertainty about both timing and amounts. The question that matters for monetary policy is whether these price increases are likely to materially raise the risk of an ongoing inflation problem. A reasonable base case is that the effects will be relatively short-lived, a one-time shift in the price level. Of course, one time does not mean all at once. It will continue to take time for tariff increases to work their way through supply chains and distribution networks. Moreover, tariff rates continue to evolve, potentially prolonging the adjustment process. It's also possible, however, that the upward pressure on prices from tariffs could spur a more lasting inflation dynamic, and that is a risk to be assessed and managed. One possibility is that workers who see their real incomes decline because of higher prices demand and get higher wages from employers, setting off adverse wage price dynamics. Given that the labor market is not particularly tight and faces increasing downside risks, that outcome does not seem likely. Another possibility is that inflation expectations could move up, dragging actual inflation with them. Inflation has been above our target for more than 4 years and remains a prominent concern for households and businesses. Measures of longer-term inflation expectations, however, as reflected in market and survey-based measures, appear to remain well anchored and consistent with our longer-run inflation objective of 2%. Of course, we cannot take the stability of inflation expectations for granted. Come what may, we will not allow a one-time increase in the price level to become an ongoing inflation problem. So, putting the pieces together, what are the implications for monetary policy? In the near term, risks to inflation are tilted to the upside and risks to employment to the downside, a challenging situation. When our goals are in tension like this, our framework calls for us to balance both sides of our dual mandate. Our policy rate is now 100 basis points closer to neutral than it was a year ago. And the stability of the unemployment rate and other labor market measures allows us to proceed carefully as we consider changes to our policy stance. Nonetheless, with policy in restrictive territory, the baseline outlook and the shifting balance of risks may warrant adjusting our policy stance. Monetary policy is not on a preset course. FOMC members will make these decisions based solely on their assessment of the data and its implications for the economic outlook and the balance of risks. We will never deviate from that approach. So, turning then to my second topic. Our monetary policy framework is built on the unchanging foundation of our mandate from Congress to foster maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. We remain fully committed to fulfilling our statutory mandate, and the revisions to our framework will support that mission across a broad range of economic conditions. Our revised statement on longer-run goals and monetary policy strategy, which we refer to as our consensus statement to save time, describes how we pursue our dual mandate goals. It is designed to give the public a clear sense of how we think about monetary policy, and that understanding is important both for transparency and accountability, and for making monetary policy more effective. The changes we made in this review are a natural progression grounded in our ever-evolving understanding of our economy. We continue to build upon the initial consensus statement adopted in 2012 under Chairman Ben Bernanke's leadership. Today's revised statement is the outcome of the second public review of our framework, which we conduct at 5-year intervals. This year's review included 3 elements: Fed Listens events at reserve banks around the country, a flagship research conference, and policymaker discussions and deliberations supported by staff analysis at a series of FOMC meetings. In approaching this year's review, a key objective has been to make sure that our framework is suitable across a broad range of economic conditions. At the same time, the framework needs to evolve with changes in the structure of the economy and our understanding of those changes. The Great Depression presented different challenges from those of the Great Inflation and the Great Moderation, which in turn are different from the ones we face today. At the time of the last review, we were living in a new normal, characterized by the proximity of interest rates to the effective lower bound, or ELB, along with growth, low inflation, and a very flat Phillips curve, meaning that inflation was not very responsive to slack in the economy. To me, a statistic that captures that era is that our policy rate was stuck at the ELB for 7 long years following the onset of the global financial crisis in late 2008. Many here will recall the sluggish growth and painfully slow recovery of that era. It appeared highly likely that if the economy experienced even a mild downturn, our policy rate would be back at the ELB very quickly, probably for another extended period. Inflation and inflation expectations could then decline in a weak economy, raising real interest rates as nominal rates were pinned near zero. Higher real rates would further weigh on job growth and reinforce the downward pressure on inflation and inflation expectations, triggering an adverse dynamic. The economic conditions that brought the policy rate to the ELB and drove the 2020 framework changes were thought to be rooted in slow-moving global factors that would persist for an extended period. And they might well have done so, if not for the pandemic. The 2020 consensus statement included several features that addressed the ELB-related risks that had become increasingly prominent over the preceding 2 decades. We emphasized the importance of anchored inflation, longer-term inflation expectations to support both our price stability and maximum employment goals. Drawing on an extensive literature on strategies to mitigate risks associated with the ELB, we adopted flexible average inflation targeting, a makeup to ensure that inflation expectations would remain well anchored even with the ELB constraint. In particular, we said that following periods when inflation had been running persistently above 2%, appropriate monetary policy would likely aim to achieve inflation moderately above 2% for some time. In the event, rather than low inflation in the ELB, the post-pandemic reopening brought the highest inflation in 40 years to economies around the world. Like most other central banks and private sector analysts, through year-end 2021, we thought that inflation would subside fairly quickly without a sharp tightening in our policy stance, as this slide will show. When it became clear this was not the case, we responded forcefully, raising our policy rate by 5.25 percentage points over 16 months. That action, combined with the unwinding of pandemic supply disruptions, contributed to inflation moving much closer to our target without the painful rise in unemployment that has accompanied previous efforts to counter high inflation. This year's review considered how economic conditions have evolved over the past 5 years. During this period, we saw that the inflation situation can change rapidly in the face of large shocks. In addition, interest rates are now substantially higher than was the case during the era between the global financial crisis and the pandemic. With inflation above target, our policy rate is restrictive, modestly so in my view. We cannot say for certain where rates will settle out over the longer run, but their neutral rate may now be higher than during the 2010s, reflecting changes in productivity, demographics, fiscal policy, and other factors that affect the balance between saving and investment. During the review, we discussed how the 2020 statement's focus on the ELB may have complicated communications about our response to high inflation. We concluded that the emphasis on an overly specific set of economic conditions may have led to some confusion, and as a result, we made several important changes to the consensus statement to reflect that insight. First, we removed language indicating that the ELB was a defining feature of the economic landscape. Instead, we noted that our monetary strategy is designed to promote maximum employment and stable prices across a broad range of economic conditions. The difficulty of operating near the ELB remains a potential concern, but it is not our primary focus. The revised statement reiterates that the committee is prepared to use its full range of tools to achieve its maximum employment and price stability goals, particularly if the federal funds rate is constrained by the ELB. Second, we returned to a framework of flexible inflation targeting and eliminated the makeup strategy. As it turned out, the idea of an intentional moderate inflation overshoot had proved irrelevant. There was nothing intentional or moderate about the inflation that arrived a few months after we announced our 2020 changes to the consensus statement, as I acknowledged publicly in 2021. Well-anchored inflation expectations were critical to our success in bringing down. Our revised statement emphasizes our commitment to act forcefully to ensure that longer-term inflation expectations remain well-anchored to the benefit of both sides of our dual mandate. It also notes that price stability is essential for a sound and stable economy and supports the well-being of all Americans. This theme came through loud and clear at our Fed Listens events. The past 5 years have been a painful reminder of the hardship that high inflation imposes, especially on those least able to meet the higher costs of necessities. Third, our 2020 statement said that we would mitigate shortfalls rather than deviations from maximum employment. The use of shortfalls reflected the insight that our real-time assessments of the natural rate of unemployment, and hence of maximum employment, are highly uncertain. The later years of the post-global financial crisis recovery featured employment running for an extended period above mainstream estimates of its sustainable level, along with inflation running persistently below our 2% target. In the absence of inflationary pressures, it might not be necessary to tighten policy based solely on uncertain real-time estimates of the natural rate of unemployment. We still have that view, but our use of the term shortfalls was not always interpreted as intended, raising communications challenges. In particular, the use of shortfalls was not intended as a commitment to permanently forswear preemption or to ignore labor market tightness. Accordingly, we removed shortfalls from our statement. Instead, the revised document now states more precisely that the committee recognizes that employment may run at times above real-time assessments of maximum employment without necessarily creating risks to price stability. Of course, preemptive action would likely be warranted if tightness in the labor market or other factors pose risks to price stability. The revised statement also notes that maximum employment is the highest level of employment that can be achieved on a sustained basis in a context of price stability. This focus on
All right. Hi, everybody. Right now, we are just hearing that and seeing that President Trump is speaking. There's breaking news right now. Let's go ahead and listen in here live on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
And I think the mayor has to get on the ball because we have a situation, and she's a nice woman, but I'll tell you what, she's got to get on the ball. We have, I don't want to see phony numbers. D.C. hit an all-time high last year of absolute total crime, and it continued pretty bad. And then we put some strength into it, got the numbers down a little bit, but we brought in the D.C. National Guard, and we coupled them with the police, and it has been amazing. I have friends that live here, people that work in the White House, but I have friends that live here. They're all going out to dinner now. They haven't gone out in years. One man, I told this story yesterday when we were with the police and with the National Guard. We had a great little celebration, brought them hamburgers, brought them pizza, but we were with them, and I told the story about one friend hasn't been out in 4 years to a restaurant, and now he's been out 4 nights in a row. He called me this morning, by the way. He said it's so safe. He feels like totally safe. He can walk. He's got a 10-block walk. He walks it. He wouldn't have walked those 10 blocks. He said it would be a chain of hell, he called it. He said it was just horrible. He had no chance of making it to the 10th block. And the mayor has to admit that. She can't say it was just like it hasn't been clean. Now it's going to be clean. I'm giving out a contract very soon. Susie's with me. We're going to be raising about $2 billion from Congress, and Congress is happy to do it. And we're going to wisely spend the money. We're doing it with Clark Construction. We're going to head out right from the Capitol and the White House, and if you look at a circle and go about 3 miles out, it's going to be beautiful. All those light poles, you see the poles, they're rusting, and they got different lenses on top. If you look, I mean, just looking at so many different problems. And we're going to have this place beautified within a period of 12 months. The streets are going to be retopped, not ripped up and rebuilt, and they're no good after they rebuild them because they start settling. We're going to take off the asphalt and put beautiful, well-done asphalt. You know, if you have a good asphalt worker, it's the greatest thing you can have, but there aren't too many of them. But I know all the good contractors. So this place will be beautified within a period of months. So it'll be safe and beautified. And then the big question is, how long do we stay? Because if we stay, we want to make sure it doesn't come back. So we have to take care of these criminals and get them out of here. We've collected hundreds of career criminals. These are career criminals. You're not going to teach them to be nice. These are probably born that way. I don't know. But they're career criminals. They're very, very dangerous people. They would love to be with you for a little while and slap you around. But I put my money on this guy. He'd take them. Right? He'd take them down so quickly. He said, I don't want any part of it. No, people don't want to be that. And we have over 1,000 arrests. We're taking career criminals off the streets. It's my ambition that when we're complete, we can take everybody out and you have a great capital. But people are so happy, and I don't know where they get the polls. I see polls that they're 90% in favor of what I'm doing, and then you turn to CNN, which is fake news and nobody watches it, or MSDNC, they changed, MSNBC, they changed their name now because they were so bad. But they're the worst, owned by Comcast, run by a guy named Brian Roberts, who doesn't have a clue. He's terrible manager. But they're not, I don't think, selling it. They're changing the name because they're ashamed of it. And they're disassociating it from NBC, which is also fake news. You know, they should be ashamed of that too. But a lot of fake news. I think the news is getting better. They're learning that they have no credibility. ABC, CBS was just sold to a great person that I know very well. A great man. He actually just bought CBS, and I think he's going to do the right thing with it. NBC is run terribly by Comcast. I call it Concast because it's a whole con. And you're going to see some things happening. I think you're going to see some just amazing things happening. But to me, D.C. is very exciting. And a lot of people say, well, where's he going from there? Well, I have calls from politicians begging me to go to Chicago, begging me to go to New York, begging me to go to Los Angeles. And if we didn't go to Los Angeles with Newsom, they run it so badly, I don't think we would have been able to have the Olympics. They would have ripped down that city. We went there and it stopped day one. And the chief of police in Los Angeles, when they asked him the question, he said, thank God they came, because we could not have handled what was happening. We went in, we stopped it, and that was it. So they needed help. They don't like to say it. I wish they'd say, I need help. I wish the mayor of D.C. would say, you know, we're overridden with crime and we need help, instead of saying the stats are down. I mean, they're under investigation now for fake numbers, where they fudged the numbers. And they did, there's no question about it. They said, oh, we're on a downtrend for 20 years. No, they're on an uptrend for 20 years. We are going to make D.C. totally safe. When people come from Iowa, Indiana, all of the beautiful places, and they're not going to go home in a body bag. They're not going home in a coffin. And it's very safe right now. There's been no murders since I started. And, you know, it's a terrible thing to say. Who would think that you have to say that there have been no murders? It's terrible. I wrote it this morning. I said, it's hard to say this, but it's actually good news, but it's a hell of a thing to say. There have been no murders in the last week. And nobody can remember the last time that that's happened. And there won't be murders, because all the thugs are hiding, or they're being sent back to their countries, or they're in jail. And it'll only get better. But we're also doing the beautification, and I just wanted to see the store, because they have done a fantastic job. It's memorabilia, it's beautiful books and beautiful everything. It's really, I think the fake news ought to go in and buy some stuff and make happen. I'd pay it, but then you say I'm trying to pay you off, so I don't want to do it. I pay the price, but if I did that, Margot, they'd say, he's trying to pay us off, and with the fake news, we can't be brought off. So anyway, so I just want to thank you all. We're going now, I don't know if you're following. Are you following? We'll have a stop at the really beautiful, what will be beautiful. Right now, I can't use bad language, but it's been so badly run. And they built these cubes outside, these cubes. And there's stairways that go down to little rooms that nobody uses. It's so crazy what they did. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like throwing money out the window. They built cubes. All it does is block off the view. So I'm either going to use those cubes as a platform. You know, they go down to little stages, but nobody uses it. And we're taking care of our big, beautiful stages that people really want. And we have artists from all over the world wanting to come. I think we're signing the World Cup. The World Cup's going to have its primary office in the Kennedy Center. And again, I want to thank our board at the Kennedy Center. They have been absolutely incredible. But you may get a chance to see what we're going to do a little bit. I'll show you beautiful slabs of marble that, for the sake of cleaning and grouting, would look like they got put in yesterday by a top marble smith. So I want to thank you all, and I'll see you in 15 minutes, okay? Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, watching live here, Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. President Trump answering questions as he enters the People's House, a museum there in D.C., answering several questions with local media. Well, we do know that Humpy Wheeler's passing has made an impact on so many folks here around the Charlotte area, as well as really motorsports in general. Our Miles Harris had an interview yesterday with Doug Rice. Let's play that for you now here on WCNC Plus.
Your Furby.
Doug Rice and the president through
All right, at 10:29, you know what? Let's go ahead and get a little 2-minute break in here. It's going to go by really quick here on WCNC Plus. Stay with us. We have special guests speaking more on the legacy of Humpy Wheeler. We'll be right back. All right, time right now just after 10:30 on this Friday morning. I'm Jane Monreal. Appreciate you watching here on your WCNC Plus app, downloaded to your Roku, Fire, and Apple TVs, and spreading the word as we have great important discussions, talk about topical news, local news, as well as the state and international level. As you have seen, live feeds from Fed Chair Jerome Powell, as well as President Trump, and then FBI raid happening on former National Security Advisor John Bolton's home in Maryland. So all of this happening right here as it happens live. That's why we're Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Speaking of local impacts, again, legend Humpy Wheeler Jr. passing away yesterday at the age of 86, certainly making a major impact on motorsports. The Belmont native and Belmont Abbey alumnus making an impact here locally as far as education goes. Lucas Lager joining us right now from Belmont Abbey College. Thank you for joining us, Lucas, and for remembering him in a way that people forget with his education, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and be able to share the fond memories of Humpy and what a positive impact he's had on the Belmont Abbey community as well.
Fantastic. His sports management class in 2007 there at the college, inspired by his work and his involvement. Tell us more about this class and how it helps future kids that are interested in motorsports and getting into the business side of it.
Yeah, he actually started off with just one class, which was racing management, and it's now grown into a full Bachelor of Arts degree focusing on motorsport management. And actually just this week, the school launched the master's program also in motorsports management. So it's really grown into a multi-level program, giving both very focused insights and broader understanding of various aspects of the industry, from marketing to PR, communications, social media, and of course a good history background as well. And it's giving students like myself the opportunity not only to break into the industry through the wonderful connections that we have here as a school, but also based off of that specialized information and understanding that we gain here. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry. Sorry about that, Lucas. I'm just having my own little technical situation. How did you learn of the program, and what were your impressions when you first got involved in the classroom?
Yeah, I actually learned through some research I did myself. I was really interested in continuing my education in getting into motorsports. I was very fortunate that the department is really, really friendly and supportive. I had a great conversation with the department chair, Trey Cunningham, and right from the start, wonderful environment, great peers, great professors, and really I can't express how much of a difference it's made in my understanding of the industry and the opportunities that are available to me.
Was it everything you expected, and where do you go from here? Do you have your plans for after you graduate?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually been everything I expected and more. I had the opportunity to attend the Daytona 24 this past year, as well as the IndyCar Grand Prix of St. Petersburg and NHRA in Charlotte, and network with professionals throughout the industry, from teams, from the series, and gaining insight from them was crucial. And I can actually say just this morning that I finalized an internship with Vassar Sullivan Racing in the IMSA series. So I'm really looking forward to gaining some experience through that, and then hopefully carry that forward once I've graduated.
Oh, fantastic. Congratulations. That's really great news to share. And I mean, now that you kind of have your path set, what do you say to students who might be involved or wanting to get involved in something like this?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's very approachable. I think it's a great opportunity because you're not only focusing on what you're going to do in terms of having to come in with a totally clear understanding of exactly what job you want. You really get immersed in all the different areas where there's opportunities, and it allows you to have some flexibility once you get into the industry as well. So if you're interested and you have a passion for some of these areas, it's really a great way to get immersed.
Lucas, thank you for sharing your experience and the meaning of this class to you and other students out there in Belmont Abbey. And really, that really is just a little bit of his legacy, isn't it?
Absolutely. We couldn't have done it without him.
Absolutely. All right, Lucas Lager, congratulations again on your internship, and perhaps we'll see you along the pit wall sometime.
Maybe. Thank you very much.
All right, take care. As we come out here now live on the Live Impact News stream on WCNC Plus, again, like I was saying, his legacy continues on, and our Miles Harris did talk to Doug Rice on his impact, and it just goes on and on. Larry Sprinkle also shared his experience and the observations made really on the Charlotte community. This goes beyond the Charlotte metro area as well. If you're a NASCAR fan, if you are any motorsports fan, and really to know that there's a business side of it and that there are lucrative careers to it, that really is a testament to his legacy. So a loss certainly for the community, but something that we can see his life and legacy live on. All right, Miles Harris with his continued pre-recorded interview with Doug Rice here on WCNC Plus.
So can you just tell me your first, last name, and then what was your relationship like with Humpy?
Doug Rice, and while Humpy was at Charlotte Motor Speedway, I was the president and lead anchor of the Performance Racing Network, which grew considerably from the time that I got there under his leadership until he left in 2008.
I can give you one word to describe him. How would you describe him?
Visionary. Humpy saw things, and then he saw what could come from things, and then he worked on making that happen.
So whether you're a NASCAR fan or not, I feel like he just drew something in to get people to kind of come into the racetracks, kind of dive into really what that impact was like from him.
It was everything to him. It was everything for him to have the race experience be more than just coming out and watching a race, because you could do that anywhere. But if you came to Charlotte Motor Speedway to watch a race, you may see this act called Jimmy the Flying Greek, who was this crazy guy in a school bus leaping over 25 cars and crashing into a ball of flame. You might see the invasion of Grenada on the infield with the Army and the Air Force in a combined operation. Or you might see Barnum and Bailey's circus walk through the infield. He knew that people inherently needed to be entertained more than just the race. Now, racing was wonderfully important to Humpy, but he also appreciated, I think, that fans would remember if we gave them a little something else. He often used this phrase, "We bring Technicolor to black and white lives." And I believe that. I think that was a big part of his motivating factor, was the fact that we could brighten up people's lives by adding a little bit of extra spice to the sauce.
Talk to me about, obviously we've seen how his impact in the sport really helped grow that, but talk to me about a little bit about how it not only helped NASCAR, but really helped put Charlotte on the map as well with his innovation.
Framing this up right, for a long time, Charlotte Motor Speedway was the major league sport in this area. There were no Carolina Panthers. There were no Charlotte Hornets. There wasn't Charlotte FC. There was Charlotte Motor Speedway. And it was the main sports draw here for decades and drew crowds in excess of 100,000 on a regular basis. So it was the identifying sports entity for Charlotte. ACC basketball was something that belonged in the triad. And we didn't have any of that here. We had Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Coca-Cola 600 and the 500-mile race in the fall.
Doug, really my last question for you is, moving forward, how do you plan to really remember Humpy? How do you kind of remember to kind of keep his legacy strong?
I will remember him on a personal basis. Humpy took a chance on me as a guy from a local radio station in Salisbury, North Carolina, and let me have the reins of a network that only broadcast 2 races a year at PRN, and was a great encourager to me. And I would not have had the career I've had directly if it hadn't been for Humpy Wheeler. He brought me into his office very early on, and he said, "I like how you announce. You do a good job." He goes, "I never want to hear a cliche come out of your mouth." And I said, "Why they work?" He goes, "Because those aren't your words. Those are somebody else's words." He said, "You're good enough. You can have your own words." And that I tried to live by that the rest of my life.
And honestly, that you're like the second person that's told me that, but obviously it's made a difference though too with the cliches.
Yeah, so. But he was adamant about that. And for a while, I was also the advertising director at the Speedway, and you didn't come in with a newspaper headline that said "fast as lightning," and he'd tear it up in front of you, throw it back. "No, that's a cliche. Go think of something better." Which is good. I mean, that you want to be challenged. He was a taskmaster, and he could really be a challenging person at times and a little bit frightening, but extremely fair. And I think at the end of the day, I remember that too.
Doug, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think that pretty well describes it. I am a blessed person that I got to work for a person that had such incredible vision and looked at the way of the world he did, and I learned a lot from him.
Want to get to some breaking news right now. This is a tweet or an ex-post from Adam Schefter, who is announcing, and this news confirmed, Panthers news, right tackle Taylor Moton reached an agreement today on a 2-year, $44 million extension, including $40 million guaranteed, and the deal ties Moton to the Panthers now through the 2027 season. So we will have more coming up this afternoon on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Our next Sturdivant is
Carboni and Sturdivant are talking
Carboni
right
and Sturdivant.
now about
Okay, so
the boys are handling
the
it.
Knicks.
The Knicks are handling
double nickels are going to be
they're handling it.
Going to be handling that story later on this afternoon on Live Impact News. All right, let's get you back back out to the state level because it looks like the RNC is electing a new chairperson. This is at their annual summer meeting in Atlanta, Georgia, happening live right now. You can see on to your left of the screen that it's Michael Whatley. He's stepping down, of course, because he is running for North Carolina governor. So let's listen here live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Very important gubernatorial races, and in 2026 leading into the midterms. A few weeks ago, we launched and had our first training in New Jersey. I'm happy to say, with like 3 days notice, we had 87 people turn out for election integrity training. This week, we're going to be back in New Jersey, and we're going to be doing trainings in Virginia. So I'm really excited. And if you are from New Jersey or Virginia, tell your people to come out because these are pretty awesome trainings by our staff. I've been blessed for the past few years to head up the member giving program with the RNC called the Eagle Club. We have several members who have reached their goals with Eagle Club, and I would like to go ahead and announce who they are. If you can do me a favor and stand, because you totally deserve to be recognized, but if you all could hold your applause to the end, I would appreciate it. The first is Sean Steele, the National Committee man from California. Hold your applause. I'm going to keep you in line, buddy. John McCarthy, the National Committee man from Kentucky. Janet Fogarty, the National Committee woman from Massachusetts. Ed Cox, the chair of New York. Jim Dickey, who is not here with us today, the National Committee man from Ohio. Larry Pack, the National Committee man from West Virginia. Terry Dietrich, the National Committee man from Wisconsin. Matthew Patrick Thomas, the National Committee man from Washington, and John Yob, the chair of the Virgin Islands. Please, you all, give these members a big round of applause. Michael mentioned earlier that we have a lot of new people, and I know some of you all may not be aware that we have a member giving raising program called the Eagle Club, but I intend to make sure that you know about it. And this week or later next week, I plan to hold maybe a Zoom meeting to go over the WIN program as well as Eagle Club for all the new members, so watch for information on that. I don't have much more to report to you all today because we have a lot of special things happening in a few minutes, but I do want to take a moment of personal privilege and just say thank you, Chairman Whatley. Thank you for everything that you have done for the Republican National Committee. Now I'm going to make you cry. I teased him last night. I said my goal may be to make you cry. Maybe I'll get there this morning. But y'all, seriously, it has been truly just my honor to get to serve with Chairman Whatley for the past 7 months. Prior to him being elected chair, I served prior to my election as co-chair, I served as the treasurer of the RNC, so I've been part of his officer team since he was elected, and I can tell you all, he has completely transformed this organization. He, along with co-chair Trump, made everything about winning. They worked at getting out the vote and protecting the vote, and golly, what happened in 2024? We won, right? So he has been simply amazing, and I know my mom used to say when I was a little girl, she would say when I go stay at friend's house, now make sure, Casey, that you leave the room better than you found it. And Chairman Whatley, you have left us better than you found us. Thank you for all your service. And now let's go win a Senate race in North Carolina, right? I also want to recognize Jennifer Rich and Joe Gruters. I cannot wait to work with you all on this officer team. Jennifer, you've been a friend for a very long time. You are so capable and competent of being treasurer of the RNC, and I think you've got a couple good people who went ahead of you. So we are here to support you. You are a business owner. You have institutional knowledge. You've been a long-term member of the Budget Committee, and you are going to do just a fantastic job. And you know that we are all here to help you however we can. You're going to kill it. And then to my friend Joe. So Joe, I just can't wait to be your partner. It's a hard job. I see your family in the back. I know you have your siblings here and your wife. I want to thank them for sharing you with us. It's a grind, just as Suzanne can tell you, Michael's wife. It is a lot of work, and I just cannot tell you how excited I am to work with you. I know probably over the past few days, you've probably been told you have big shoes to fill. Maybe a few times. I was told that when I took over for Co-Chair Trump. I'm sure you've been told that a few times. But Joe, I absolutely have the confidence and the faith that you're going to trailblaze your own path and lead us into victory in 2026. And I cannot wait to do it with you. So guys, let's get excited. Let's do this today. Let's go win in 2026. God bless you all. Thank you so much. Love you.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Casey. So, I would like next to introduce for his first Treasurer's Report and his last Treasurer's Report, the National Committee man from Florida, Joe Gruters.
Thank you, Chairman. It is my first and my last report. It's kind of crazy when I was elected to this seat just at our last meeting, and it's but listen, it was super easy. It was because of Casey Crosby. If you remember, just 3 years ago, Casey curb stomped me for that seat in the race for treasurer. But you know what happened is what happens. We're all friends at the end of the day, and we ran a very friendly race against each other the entire time. And afterwards, we got together and we worked together. And when she had the ability to be the co-chair, she did a phenomenal job in that role. And Casey, I can't wait to work with you in this next role. But you are a superstar, and you are all class all the time. But listen, we're in great shape from a financial standpoint because of Michael Whatley, because our chairman has been grinding and has been doing fundraising meeting after fundraising meeting. When the president called me and asked me to step up to the plate, they sent me the chairman's schedule. I said, ooh, this is a lot of work, a lot of call hours, a lot of fundraising visits. But this guy's been a workhorse, and you are leaving the party in much better shape. We have $84 million cash on hand, and you've done an excellent job of raising the money and being a good steward of our funds and making sure that I told some of the members here, I kind of liked when Chairman McDaniel had we went to the Ritz-Carlton, but he's been such a great steward. I said, we're going to go down and we're going to go to the Holiday Inn at the next meeting. You guys are going to love it. We're going to serve Wheaties and hot dogs for you. Just kidding. But who else is an unsung hero here who's soon to be our ambassador to Sweden? Christina Toretti. You should stand as our Budget Committee Chairman. Where is she? The ambassador and Casey Crosby made this job as treasurer so easy when I stepped in and took over this job. And along with our staff, Megan and team, listen, I'm an auditor by trade. You know that. I'm a CPA. So it's easy for me to look at reports, see what's going on. But when you tie everything to the penny, when you make the report so easy to understand, our RNC staff has done an amazing job. And Megan, you do a phenomenal job. The entire team has done an amazing job. But together, we're in great shape from a financial standpoint. We're in great shape from a stewardship standpoint. And I'm looking forward to giving some more remarks soon. But that is my Treasurer's report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I would now like to recognize Mark Kars, the National Committee man from Kansas and Chair of the Resolutions Committee, for a report from the committee.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to Rule 10A2 of the Rules of the Republican Party, the Standing Committee on Resolutions met on Thursday to consider all the resolutions timely submitted to the committee. All RNC members were emailed copies of the resolutions prior to today's meeting. Mr. Chairman, we have 6 resolutions that were submitted to the committee, and the committee recommended 5 resolutions for adoption. Today they are resolution in loving memory of Mississippi Committeewoman Jeannie C. Lucky, resolution in honor of former Mississippi Republican Party Chairman Clark Reed, resolution in loving memory of Ohio House Speaker Joanne Davidson, resolution in memory of South Carolina National Committeeman Glenn McCall, and resolution in memory of Hawaii National Committeeman Gene Ward. And in the interest of time, I request that we omit the reading of these resolutions, but please join me in a moment of silence in memory of these former members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Now, without objection, we will consider all of the resolutions as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and future North Carolina U.S. Senator. This concludes my report, and I now move that the 5 resolutions before the committee be adopted.
The motion has been made to adopt 5 resolutions. Is there a second? The motion has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing no further discussion, we will move to a vote on the adoption of the resolutions. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. The ayes have it, and the 5 resolutions are adopted. Thank you, Mark. I would now like to recognize Christine Toretti, the National Committeewoman for Pennsylvania and Chairwoman of the Standing Committee on the Budget, for the purpose of giving the Budget Committee report. Christine?
Good morning, Chairman. The Budget Committee has met twice since we last came together. We had a fly-in on June 11, and we met this Wednesday on August 20. Our amended budget was adopted, and we will be meeting in December to prepare the budget for 26. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Please join me in welcoming Bill O'Brien, the National Committeeman from New Hampshire, as our new Rules Committee Chairman. And I now recognize Bill for the purpose of giving the report on the Standing Committee of Rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we organized the committee and we elected a chair, and I want to thank my colleagues for the confidence that they've shown in me, and I want to thank my good friend Jason Thompson for being the person who nominated me. His graciousness during this process was much appreciated. We took up 3 different matters, Mr. Chairman. We had a motion to amend the rules to prohibit any member of the committee from having 2 votes. There was a discussion on that, and as a consequence of that discussion, the motion was tabled. There was a motion to establish a working group to evaluate that issue, and that vote passed on a voice vote. A second matter was taken up. There was a motion to amend to make the temporary committee on election integrity into a permanent committee. Again, discussion on that motion, and it was resolved to be, again, a motion to set up a working group to evaluate some of the issues that came up. That likewise passed on a voice vote. And the final matter that was taken up was a motion to make permanent the audit committee. Again, discussion. Again, the thought was the best thing to do on that was to have a working group, and that became the decision of the committee. I committed to the committee that we will appoint those working groups in consultation with the chair and co-chair of the RNC. With that, our work concluded on the committee, and as does my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. I would now like to recognize Robin Armstrong, the National Committeeman from Texas and Chairman of the Temporary Committee on Faith Engagement, to deliver a report.
Thank you very much, Chairman. We met earlier this week, and we had a report on Catholicism. Actually, she talked to us about how we could engage those folks better, so we talked about that. We also had a presentation on how the laws have changed recently and how churches have more liberty at presenting and talking about candidates and endorsing candidates and such. So that was a great presentation by Leslie Davis. Thank you very much. And we also talked about our plans soon to be getting engaged in New Jersey and also in Virginia in those gubernatorial races, and how we're going to be sending faith engagement folks out there to be engaged and active. And so we're very excited. So thank you very much, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Rob.
And you are watching live right now the RNC getting ready to elect a new chair as Michael Whatley stepping down to run for governor for the state of North Carolina. Charlotte Today is coming up next here at 11 o'clock, and then Nick Sturdivant at 12:30 back in the Live Impact studio. Thanks for watching.